So, Devstream 155 has probably been one of the most odd dev streams I've watched so far. Let's start off with Yareli. Yareli is and probably will be a B plus frame for new players and a D minus frame for experienced players because there's absolutely nothing unique about her playstyle. I can personally see some use for her, but the problem with Yareli is that she strayed too far from her concept and has been given overly average abilities instead of abilities that kept to her theme similar to her idols. let's switch to armchair dev mode for a second. If I was a developer, how would I fix Yareli exactly? First, I would remove her 1, 3, and 4 because those abilities look really lame, and make abilities that make use of her huge energy pools and abilities that make you want to spam. For example, her 1 would be a super cutesy finger pistol that acts similar to Hildren's Balefire but has 2 firing modes. That maybe 1 shoots a high speed heart-shaped water projectile that does AoE damage, and maybe a thin high pressure water beam that takes pistol mods into account. Right? That would be cool. How about her 4 being a huge water bomb that she holds over her head and then throws out into the field, and when it makes contact with the ground it explodes and disperses, leaving behind a heart-shaped bubble that does damage over time, slowing down enemies caught in the blasts. And then when this bubble is shot by her 1, it explodes again, doing additional damage, crit, and crit damage. Boom. Ideas right off the dome. Her mount probably should have 2 driving modes, 1 for cruising through missions, a little bit slower, not as fast, and then a K-drive mode for increased speed. But you know, I'm willing to wait until she's out before I really say if she's whack or not, or if I'll use her. Alright, moving on to the friends and clan changes. Originally, I thought this was a setup for more co-op content, because as the game stands, there's nothing that makes people really want to add each other. General gameplay for Warframe kind of goes like this. You join a game, you rush through the mission, you get what you want, and then you leave. There's no incentive to add anyone for no reason at all. As a clan leader myself, I'm disappointed to say that clans are dead. Adding a recruitment option will not change this at all, because newish, mid to experienced players won't be active due to not having anything to do in the game, unless they're truly committed and you find them during that euphoria of getting stronger and making progress, which is somewhat rare. With no real clan activities such as semi-difficult daily raid bosses, group or party quests that will make people want to huddle together, clans will continue to be in a state of decline. It won't matter. Recruitment will help ease the pain somewhat, but it won't keep those people playing. Hopefully in the future, though, this will maybe shift, and if the third orb mother is extremely tough to handle and the new war brings in an actual raid boss that isn't a trial but maybe comes with a pre-quest before you can fight it, maybe these changes will actually matter. So, the Sisters of Parvos. I was excited for this because I'm gonna be honest with y'all, I misheard what Rebecca said. I'm ashamed. I thought I heard her say that they will be bosses before you fight the Sisters of Parvos, like similar to what I made in the Depths of Deimos video. If you guys remember that video, it showcased what Warframe would be if we had semi-difficult activities that had little lore, but isn't dependent on the story. I thought that this is what we was getting, you know, something like this. You fight a super enhanced crewman who commands raptors, and then an upgraded Azov, and then a new type of Rachnoid, and then the Sisters of Parvos, all in Railjack, right? But I realized this isn't what they are doing. They are heading down the efficient route instead of the journey route, which will make which will cue you and other players who have reached the end of their guessing game with the sister or Kuvalich. Meaning you will be fighting 4 sisters and their hounds instead of 3 different and separate bosses. That shit is boring. Why should I have to fight something that rewards me nothing? If it was different types of bosses, they could have added credits, I-10 stars, I-10 sculptures, focus, the resources for new syndicate weapons, new stances, or perhaps new mods. This is wasted potential to make use of the friends list change and clan upgrades. As someone who's been playing MMO type of games for a while, nothing feels better than having a clanmate or someone ask you, hey, could you help me out? I can't seem to get past this 3rd boss to maybe get to my Kuvalich or the final boss in this dungeon. If there are decent rewards tied to this sort of content, no one would complain. Despite that, I still have some hope. If the Sisters of Parvos fix the problems that the Kuvalich or the Kuvaliches had, the lack of health that makes them and feel like a boss, being sturdy enough to survive 1 or 2 busted players in the squad, and have telegraphed AoE and gun attacks, I will give this update a solid B+. Right? I can see some changes with the hounds when I was watching the Devstream, but since I haven't seen the sisters themselves, I can't really say anything yet. Animations mean everything to a game. If they aren't clear, the Sisters of Parvos will just be another garbage addition to be farmed and then left alone. And that's a fact. Finally, we got the Steel Path Gunplay versus Melee debate. You know, what did I tell you guys? That it was foolish that DE didn't consider Steel Path endgame content, did I not? Endgame is a state you are in. Endgame content is content that tests that state. Even though killing fodder is a small required portion of endgame, it acts like a progression bar to the next stage, right? In other games, you would kill a ton of enemies to level up so you could reach a certain level where you could fight a boss who is the endgame boss of that certain level of content, and then after that boss you fight stronger little minion enemies to reach to the next level, right? Fodder tests the equipment that you have and rewards you with items that aid you in your progression, aka steel essence, right? That's what it would be in Warframe. The fact that DE is basing melee changes based on the steel path when most of the game is on the basic star chart is pretty bad. Even though I agree melee needs to be nerfed somewhat because the damage is too absurd, buffing guns to match that sort of damage will only be disastrous for the game's health and cause inflated expectations of how primaries or secondaries is supposed to perform. Right? The only benefits I see from this is that you can destroy Eidolon limbs with your primary or with a rifle without much buffs. But the point is, single targets or single target weapons will never beat AoE when it comes to killing mobs. But AoE cannot beat single target when it comes to a single target, aka bosses or boss-like enemies. Gunplay can only be improved by actions. Actions that create AoE effects, not mods. Right? Gunplay's strength is its mobility and versatility, while melee is grounded. I predict DE will incentivize players not to use melee or add in certain mods that cause effects like ignoring shields and armor when you get a headshot, like Railjack's mods. Like the mods Railjack has. But it won't change anything because AoE will always be superior to single target. You have to add content that plays to single target strengths, like bosses. In old Maplestory, a bishop or an archmage could never kill or defeat a boss faster than a bowmaster can, but a bowmaster could never level faster than a mage, and I want y'all to keep that in mind. As for Parazon mods, unless they increase the threshold and apply it to new gun changes, it won't matter. it really won't matter. But yeah, that's all I gotta say about the Devstream and new update. I predict that it's gonna be an okay update. They're adding a lot of stuff to last us till TennoCon, but I don't know. It still looks kind of weak. This update doesn't hit the trifecta and really high scores: progression, community, marketplace. Unfortunately, that's the case where the Sisters of Parvos and the Kuvelich don't have items that you could really sell that have the same amount of worth similar to Arcane's. The weapons that they drop aren't really what you would say endgame weapons, just upgraded versions of weapons. They won't have much worth. They'll aid in getting your weapon rank up or your mastery rank up, but it's that's how I feel about the update. Alright, I'm out, y'all.